The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.
When it comes to karma, the world has some people who unfortunately aren't right in the head, and who's going to step up and make the world a better place? You know, the police are not going to arrive before that bus driver bleeds out. Who's going to save her? Well, ideally, she would save herself, which she was in the process of doing, but the guy wasn't listening and she wasn't a trained warrior, whereas our students are absolutely set up to rise to the occasion instantaneously and have the mindset to solve problems and make executive decisions.
One of the themes, and we didn't really call it this, but one of the themes throughout our conversation has to do with life coaching. Do you have a separate life coaching program, or would you call the entire program life coaching?
So I would call it Taoist coaching as opposed to life coaching, because I'm teaching Taoism and a little bit of Buddhism and a little bit of Confucianism. And I'm really being my role as Sifu. And the word Sifu means teacher, father in Chinese, not master or sensei. And my goal is to mentor people in this beautiful way. And when I say mentor, I have coached 2 people this year into jobs that doubled their income. I have helped people with cancer, helped people with really serious health issues, helped people out of severe depression, helped people to achieve outcomes that have brought true love into their life, where they were very shy and didn't have the confidence to ask someone out. I have helped people find their new identity, whereas they were searching for their way sort of out of their circle, and to break out of your circle, the circle of negativity, the circle of funk that is sort of poisoning you, and to break into something like this where it's a positive feedback loop, where you train and you become better, and then you train and you become better, and you train and you become better, and you evolve. Kung Fu is an evolutionary tool. The hard work helps you evolve. Every 7 years, all your cells turn over. Your cells have a genetic memory. And as we teach ourselves a skill, we forge ourselves into something new. In our training, we try to get it down to the cellular level, into the neural pathways, not just muscle memory, but so deep it transforms you into a better and more evolved person.
What's the age range of your clients? Youngest to oldest?
So I have a kids instructor that has early childhood experience, so we'll handle kids as young as 3, but we have very few of those. And we have very few kids, but we do have a handful. And what we're looking for is people who really want to train. So are you ready? Are you ready for that transformation? Are you ready to do the hard work that's going to actually change your life dramatically? My oldest student I've ever taught was 96, so I mean, most of our students are adults who are serious. And when I say serious, I don't mean serious in their skill. I'm talking about serious in their desire to do the hard work, because they're ready. And like, when someone's ready to grow, when you're able to surrender, and when I say that, it's like surrender to the idea that it's time to change. It's time to turn a new leaf. It's time to evolve to the next level, and that the hard work you've done is great, but there's more, and it never ends. You're never done. There's always more hard work to do. There's always another level to achieve. And in this Kung Fu place, the goals are so crazy, like super life extension, right? We have the recipe of the Taoist immortals, like their recipe of exercises, and it works. It really does make you young. And I've studied medicine for quite a long time, and I have seen clinical results that make me go, that's that's only in a kung fu movie. That's crazy. And the statistical outliers that we have going on here at the Temple of Kung Fu are so exciting and so interesting and so inspiring. We have this huge interest in how to use the medicine within our body. The medicine to make you healthy and strong is within your body most of the time. And you can access it through the right recipe of exercise, through the right skills and the right way of being. And we will show you the way. We will show you the way of the Taoist immortals and take you somewhere that you didn't even know was possible.
So you mentioned movies, and a lot of people, their only experience, their only interaction with martial arts is TV, movies, entertainment, that type of thing. We're very entertained, at least I'm very entertained by martial arts actors. You've got Jackie Chan, which we've mentioned. You've got Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme. And it's very interesting to me when I hear interviews from Steven Seagal, who basically says all the other actors are just actors and he's the real deal. You've seen him. Is he the real deal, or is that all horse excrement?
So I don't want to comment on Seagal's martial arts, but I will comment on his politics. Being a representative of a Russian arms manufacturer and embracing President Putin is un-American. And not only is it un-American, it's horrible. It's horrible, reprehensible behavior. Like, we should not be giving Putin, who is trying as hard as he can to bite off as much of Europe as he can take, who is torturing people, who is throwing his political rivals in prison. He is the most undemocratic monster, and we should fight him. We should not be embracing him, taking his money, right, and being someone who is a traitor to America. And so when you ask me about Seagal, it doesn't matter any of his good deeds in the past, any of his good martial arts, any of his great movies. He is a failed human. And
I had no idea.
He, unfortunately, the things he has to say become nil, no matter how great they are, because of his embrace of Vladimir Putin and his deep involvement in Russian politics and being in those anti-democratic forces and giving them comfort.
Let me rephrase the question. I'm not talking about a specific actor. Is what we see in the movies realistic?
Depends on the movie. I mean, so realistic for fighting, realistic philosophy-wise, realistic. There's a lot that goes into it. What I would tell you is that the movies are here to entertain you. Some of it, like if you go move by move by move, you can be like, that might work, that might not, that might work, that might not. But, I'm not a big believer in nitpicking other people's fights, because the reality is stuff happens. And when I say that, like, I had one of my students stop a terrorist a few years back. He gets in this fight, and so this guy walks into a restaurant. He dumps a can of gasoline all over the restaurant, and then he's like, and everyone's standing there frozen, except for my student. My student immediately starts working his way behind the dude. The guy's like trying to strike a match to like light the whole restaurant on fire, and my student knocks the matches out of his hand, punches the dude in the face a couple times, and then they get into it. The guy is on something. He's feeling no pain. My student cracks this dude's skull open, and the dude just is not feeling it. He goes to knee the dude, slips on the gas. Like, he gets his up. The dude touches his head, realizes his head is split open, grabs a chair, tosses at my student. My student jumps out of the way, uses the bounce of the jump to jump forward, hits the dude a bunch of times, grabs the dude's face, slams it into a table, and then drops a huge elbow into the guy's temple. And this is all beautiful kung fu that happens in a tiny period of time. And this dude got wrecked. And he didn't go to jail. He went to the hospital. So when you ask about, like, what's real, what's not, what I would tell you about what's real is it's messy. It doesn't always go according to plan. Are you cool with the change? Are you the one who changes things? When you find yourself in a messy situation, are you able to relax and flow through it and navigate through all the potential negative outcomes? If there is a negative outcome, can you recover? These are things that at the Temple of Kung Fu, we would help you cultivate the ability to truly flow and to not be stuck by something happens. There are many examples of people who have been wounded who still got their ass up and handled it, whatever it was. You're not done if you get hit once. You're not done if you got hit twice. As long as you got something within you, if you've got the will, get up, get it done. But to have that sort of willpower within yourself, to have the gumption, to have the grit, you cultivate that. And sometimes people can do things that are statistically unlikely.
So this is all wonderful. I'm having a blast. I hope you are too.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
What would, for someone like me who works full-time, also has a side business in addition to working full-time, what's the time commitment for someone like on a weekly basis to come in? What are the programs that you offer? Because for me, I can't come here for 2 weeks for 10 hours a day. It won't work with my lifestyle. But I'd love to learn. I'm sure there's other people out there that would love to learn as well.
So that's a beautiful question. So we offer Kung Fu in many different formats. When I say that, we have class 7 days a week. I'm here 7 days a week teaching. Not 3, not 4, every day. So we try to make training accessible as far as somewhere in those 7 days, you can squeeze out an hour or two, we hope. And this is a PhD program. When you study for a PhD, you can do a PhD over 10 years, or you can do a PhD in 6 months, right? But that just depends on, are you going to devote every single second of your life to it, or are you going to devote a little teeny bit of time? If I teach a Kung Fu lesson, it is my expectation of my students that they practice at home, right? So everybody's got a little bit of time to practice, right? Or maybe a lot of time to practice. And if you want to become your best and heroic self, that might be free dollar-wise because there's a nonprofit taking care of you, but it won't be free sweat equity-wise. And the reality is, if you want to be your best self, it requires the secret sauce. And the secret sauce is your devotion and hard work to the idea of that you're going to be better, that you're really going to do the action. When someone comes in, even for one lesson a week, one lesson a month, we will give them enough information to practice. We have a Zoom set up, so if you can't make it in person, we can teach you anywhere on earth on Zoom. We offer private lessons, and these private lessons can be at your convenience. We are very flexible, and we can also do lessons at your location. I have traveled across the world doing lessons and doing seminars all over the place. So if you're someplace far away and listening to this, I would be happy to come have a conversation with you about maybe coming to your place and teaching.
And how would they get a hold of you for that?
So our website is templeofkungfu.com. And you can also reach me at 847-702-7581. And I would be happy to talk to you about your journey into martial arts and how to help you become your best and heroic self, or how to help teach you how to use martial arts as medicine to help you with your health outcomes, or if you're someone who's interested in a very deep experience, how to have the experience of being a Kung Fu monk and learning all these special skills.
Can you repeat the website and phone number one more time?
Absolutely. So www.templeofkungfu, all one word, .com. And my phone number, which I'd love to hear from you, is 847-702-7581.
All right, I have a couple more questions for you. So for someone like me, overweight, out of shape, bad back, need a shoulder repaired. How can someone like me who is maybe a little bit weaker than, say, a 21-year-old, how can I come and be assured I'm not going to really mess up my back again, really mess up my arm, my leg, that type of thing?
So that is actually a really wonderful question. I have so many people who say to me, I'm going to go to the gym and work out before I come to your place. And I always laugh and say, we don't care what your story is. Like, and when I say we don't care, it's like people walk in and they tell a story like the one you just told, and we're like, thanks for that information. We'll be really careful with your shoulder and your back, and then we will cultivate you. We will give you a recipe of exercise to fix your shoulder and your back, because we have all these amazing ways to do all sorts of interesting health outcomes that are outside of the box a lot of the time. And this, a lot of the time, the decay that is set in for people is just from lack of use and lack of cultivating the muscle and the tendons and so forth. And we have a recipe that restores people, rejuvenates people. And it's so beautiful to watch someone who walks in with a story like the one you just told rejuvenate themselves to youth, to bring themselves back to this fit, younger, flexible, pliable version of themselves. Because like things inside them had become brittle or atrophied or become weak, and suddenly we perfuse that with blood flow, with chi and energy that opens up the space, that renews that and washes away the scar tissue, washes away the atrophy, and brings back good, healthy self. And it's really neat to watch how people who were very seriously decayed bring something back. Brittleness is death. Lack of blood flow is death. Perfusion of blood flow and chi and all the things that the blood carries brings with it youth.
So let me ask you a hypothetical, and this is an educational question. It's not a what would you do if. You've got students that come once a week. Say I start coming once a week on Sundays. But then you've got other students that come 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and we're all here at the same time. How do you tailor for me to continue on learning where I left off when someone else might be a lot more advanced in the systems?
So my school isn't, I stand in front of the class and teach and everybody follows along. That's not really our format most of the time. A little bit, but mostly not that. It's more like individual study. You walk in, you have a list of techniques you're working on, you know what they are. There's things you don't know that someone's gonna walk over and teach you, usually me. But every student learns how to teach. Every student learns how to help their brothers out, their sisters out. Our Kung Fu school is a family. And when you have a loving, supportive environment supporting you in your training, it makes it last. It's not just joining LA Fitness across the street. That is a different business model than this. This is more like joining a fraternity or a brotherhood or sisterhood where people come together and become family. And when you forge deep bonds, when you forge real relationships, you can go deep inside and you can surrender to the experience, and it can actually help you relax enough that you're willing to change. The willingness to change, the willingness to learn, the willingness to surrender a little bit to the experience allows for the experience to change you. All that tension you're carrying around, the tension in your shoulders, tension in your back, anyone tell you to carry that around? You think that's a good idea? You think walking around stressed out, tense, is doing anything for you other than slowing you down and acting as resistance to change? The first thing we're going to tell you is relax. The second thing we're going to tell you is to relax. The third thing we're going to tell you is to relax, because the story you tell yourself, that's not true. The real story is you're the one who changes things. That's the mantra. That's the story that's real. And what is resistance to change other than all that tension, all that stress, all that junk you're carrying around. It's garbage. Take a deep breath, let it out, and get rid of it, because you don't have to carry that around. It's unnecessary, and it's in your way of combat performance.
To wrap things up, what are your final thoughts on Kung Fu, getting involved, being healthy, being prepared? Maybe that I didn't ask you. Take it away.
So this is a big topic, but what I would say is that we live in a world that is training you to be afraid, that is teaching you to be anxious, that is trying to divide us up and create a divisiveness that is so negative that it tears apart people's hearts. This place, this Kung Fu school, is designed to help people relax and see through the fear, to see reality with clarity and rationality that allows for performance and good judgment, and to be able to change things where other places people and things do not evolve as quickly. Whereas in here, there is a beautiful transformation that helps people become this heroic karmic entity that has almost a spiritual quality to it, that is able to walk around through their life helping everyone around them feel more calm and less afraid and less anxious. And that calmness brings with it a sense of rationality. And that rationality and that calmness brings freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from the crazy stories we're all telling ourselves, freedom from the anxiety of the unknown. Everyone's afraid of the unknown. If you can understand that everyone's afraid of the unknown and that the only way to solve that problem is to make it known. And when you look under the bed and in the closet, you realize there's no closet monster when you turn on the lights. But if your lights are out, then the anxiety is so pervasive. So as we teach Kung Fu, it's like we turn the lights on inside of yourself, and suddenly you see the way and its power. So the motto of the Temple of Kung Fu is learn the way and its power. The book on Taoism is called the Tao Te Ching, the way and its power. Right? What is its power? Its power to free you from fear, from disease, from violence, from your own crazy, to empower you to be the one who changes things, to help you become the greatest warrior, the greatest lover, the greatest family man, the greatest person who's able to make a difference in your one life.
Sifu, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to our readers and really explain how to be a better person through Kung Fu, through martial arts, through all of the systems that we spoke about. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show. And there you have it, folks. That is Sifu Richard Barron from Temple of Kung Fu in Highland Park. If you're interested, feel free to check them out. So today is New Year's Eve. And first of all, before I get into the news part, I would like to wish everybody, all my listeners, all my future YouTube listeners, etc., a very happy and healthy New Year. May you have everything that you absolutely wanted and leave behind everything that you absolutely didn't want to happen in 2023. So we have until midnight tonight, actually 11:59 tonight, to go on the Illinois State Police website, that is ispfsb.com, to register any, and I'm making air quotes, assault weapons that we may own. The state police put out a guidance on what is registerable, and I wanted to just pinpoint one thing. They've recognized certain handguns as assault weapons, again, air quotes. And you only have to register your pistol if it has a magazine that can accept more than 15 rounds and has things like a threaded barrel, a grip that goes on the front of the gun, so you're holding a handgun with two hands, any shroud that goes over the barrel, any flash suppressor, the ability to accept a detachable magazine outside of the pistol grip, any buffer tube or arm brace, or anything that horizontally is behind the grip. Also, if a semi-automatic pistol has a fixed magazine with the capacity to accept more than 15 rounds, in other words, a Broomhander Mauser, not made since like 1920. With that said, hope you guys have a great new year. We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.